Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Wannes. I will be guiding the webinar of today. As every webinar, because we do this on a monthly basis, I will wait 1 or 2 minutes for people that are just switching meeting rooms or switching meetings online. So bear with us 1 or 2 minutes and then we will kick off. So I have 2 past 4. That should be sufficient. So let's welcome you once more to our conveyor/portal webinar. Today we tackle how the data product portal accelerates collaboration across diverse roles. That's quite a lot of things, but the fun thing is that today I have the best guest ever to discuss that with. But first things first, my name is Wannes. As said, I will be the host of today. I'm working for Conveyor, mostly focus on the go-to-market of both Conveyor and Portal, but I'm also a data platform evangelist and a data mesh learning community MVP, and that's where I know Amy from. Amy is a very seasoned thought leader in data, talking quite a lot, quite often on stage. Data products and data product designs are certainly amongst her passions. No surprise why she is joining. Amy also recently joined ThoughtWorks. So Amy, what did I forget to mention about you, and what is it that you do at ThoughtWorks?
Yeah, well, just to give you some background, I've been working in IT for 18 years now. It sounds quite a lot. And in the last 12 years in data. So I've seen a lot from the technical perspective and also from the, strategy management perspective. So basically, I'm a bridge builder in between both. It sounds a cliche, but yeah, that's basically my job. And at ThoughtWorks, I'm a principal data strategist and engineering person. So what I do basically is go to top management, do workshops, talk to them, try to link the value, of data and find the right use cases. So then can implement, the new ways of working with data to make organizations become more and more data driven, which I think is one of the most important things you can do now to really link your business goals with the data you have.
Yep. Once more, welcome, Amy. 2 practicalities. You see that I have some slides, but I hate slides. It will be mostly an open discussion. Those will just be used to have kind of a guideline. Where are we in the discussion that we're having? Other guideline, there is a chat in Webinar Geek. Feel free to use it to pop in more questions. I will try to get them in and ask Amy either directly if they fit somewhere in our discussion, or I will add them at the end of the webinar. So please use the chat and we will make sure that your questions get answered. First, a bit quite general, Amy. I'm quite certain that before you got to be such a principal data strategist, you must have seen a few data or digital transformations, a few, probably quite a lot. What do you see as the biggest pain points in such transformations? What's the hardest part of becoming successful data-driven organization?
One of the biggest problem is the disconnection in between, as I mentioned before, business and technical side of things. And you can just basically build a nice platform. You can have all the technology that you want, but if you're not speaking with the people and what they need, that's where the problem, it's basically growing. So you see organizations with the most amazing data platform, no one is really using it because it was built with no real purpose. You never went to a stakeholder and asked, what are your pain points? How can I help you to solve these issues? Instead, you come with the platform, hey, I have this. Now you can solve your own issues here. They don't need that. And that happens quite a lot. And also the organizational change, I think, is the most difficult. In data mesh, for example, you really need to, again, I like to also quote this framework of people, technology, process, and use it not as separated buckets, but as a life cycle, right? Because it's better to start with the people, finding the needs, move to the process part, implementing governance, data product thinking, and then move into the technology. And you can always keep scaling in your technology, but you need all these things to marry it. And that's one of the biggest challenges that we see right now. Everything is super disconnected. And that's why most of these kind of initiatives of new frameworks or ways of working in data gets thrown in the garbage because they get frustrated and they don't see much movement on this through the months. And yeah, they die.
Yeah, I was quite certain you were going to put in something about people and different user personas probably as well. I love the fact that you're saying it's people, technology, and process, or maybe even people, process, technology.
Mhm.
Certainly, people is first, and I think you were already referring to data mesh, and you said you want that you make sure that for a data platform you talk to users, to stakeholders, that they get what they need, because otherwise they don't start using it, so that they can self-serve them. In data mesh, of course, we're opening more and more the doors to everyone should be able to work with data. That also means that there's a lot of people with different technical backgrounds, where previously you might have data engineers, data scientists, all proficient with Python or maybe even Scala. You're opening more and more the door to people knowing just SQL or preferring no-code, low-code platforms. Some of them know software engineering best practices, other don't. It becomes a large variety of people, or at least technical background of people working with data. Have you already seen an organization where many of them are working together, or is it more company culture that depicts that everyone knows Python? And so, do you see this mix of people?
I see a lot of mix of people because data people is not, it's still not that common. We still have a huge problem finding data engineers. And because there is so many tools, so many ways of doing data engineering, in many languages, in different ways, as you said, platforms, code, no code, and all that. People is recruiting whatever they can. Of course, they have, if in the job descriptions you read, okay, maybe he's familiar with GCP, at least. So if he's a cloud person, who might be able to work also in Azure or in AWS. So I think now it's more open to have other profiles, or even, for example, when I was doing coding like 4 years ago at a really small organization, I ended up being data product manager, data engineer, analytics engineer, data analyst, and they want me to do also machine learning at some point. So sometimes you even have to wear multiple hats. So I think now in the part of the data profiles of the people is more wide. They can learn or do different things, and the people is also open. Oh no, I just want to work with Microsoft. Not necessarily the case. I don't see that anymore.
Yeah. You're mentioning it's all those people actually working with data. It's those that build the data pipelines, maybe build machine learning algorithms. But there's more to data than the ones performing the magic. No,
Exactly.
You build the insights for someone. Other people own data. Business leaders create roadmaps, set expectations. What do you see as the main people interacting with data? Who should we talk about?
Well, let's first define here what is data democratization, because that's what we would like to have at the end. And based on data democratization, you can know your stakeholders. And what's the goal of data democratization? We'll have the tool, the processes, and the correct people, right, to have access to this data at the right time, but also in an easy way, because regardless your technical background or your expertise, you should be able to see data and understand it, speak about it easily. No, I mean, it's as simple as that. So you have the monetization team, the finance team, marketing, and they need data to generate their own metrics. So we already have people there that is not technical at all, right? So could be a marketing manager, could be a data analyst. I mean, creating dashboard is not only a data analyst thing anymore. Everybody's creating their own dashboards. If they have, for example, Tableau that is quite intuitive in some ways, or any other tool, they will do it. They used to do that in Excel, but now they have access to new tools. It's just finding that. But also you have, of course, all the technical people, because you have data ops and everything, but even security people, because they also need numbers and run data information, to make sure that they are compliant with certain things. So I think it's actually everyone in the organization at this point who needs to work with data. And we are becoming more and more and more data driven in the companies, but it's still data people, is the core team, still not that important, or still not getting enough investment, right? Because there is still this disconnection that the data team should do everything, owning, for example, the data and all that, when it's a shared responsibility.
Yep. You're mentioning it's data democratization. Everyone is going to work with data, yet maybe still it's only a small team that is focusing on development, on producing data products. And Benjamin, I saw your question in the chat. I will come to it in a bit. Amy, you're mentioning more and more people are becoming data consumers and probably interacting with data on a daily basis. There's one more role though that I think is very interesting, or undergoing kind of a shift what it really means, and that's the role of a data owner, or maybe later a data product owner. Again, referring to data mesh, and I know in a roundtable we already had a discussion about the topic as well previously. Data mesh is talking about the shift left, placing responsibilities where they belong, closer to business, less to IT team. So if you would need to describe a data owner, what is his or her responsibilities? Where does he or she reside in the organization? What's his or her technical levels? So what is a data owner or a typical data owner for you?
First of all, there are no full definition for it, I will say, because, for example, for DAMA you have stewards and custodians, but those words are super scary in an organization, so it's better just to call them data owners, let's say it that way. What I have done in the past when I implement ownership frameworks is to make it as simple as possible. For example, you have the domain owner, and this domain owner or this data owner could be a technical person who owns the pipeline of this data product, right? So that's already a data engineer probably that it's going to be owning that. And you can even co-own. So let's say it's a domain like in data mesh, right? And then you have the data engineer and the data product owner, and they own basically these data pipeline and data product, because the data product owner is the one who does the heavy lifting, and is speaking with the stakeholders, getting requirements and get the thing built, while the technical owner takes care of this product is right now up and running. But also you need to think about business owners. And business data owners are a little bit different. They might be technical or not, because could be also, let's say, depending on the structure on the team that you have, right? So you might have, for example, let's say a team that also has like a BI analyst, right? And they are they might be owning this data because they are closing really close, they're working really close with the business, so they can own that part of bringing, for example, metrics definitions that say like leads or views per second or something like that. They are the ones who know how to calculate this because they are in touch, with the business side of things. But in the smaller companies, you might not have this kind of role. So immediately you think that the person and this monetization team, for example, will be able to own this data. However, this is tricky because when you come to them with these responsibilities, right, and in a business perspective, the only thing that we need from them is, I need to know if this is the correct definition. I need you to give me test cases like business logic, like meaning, I don't know, what's the deviation, percentages, what kind of numbers are you expecting? We need this from the business because as data people, yeah, we understand the technical logic behind that, right? But we don't understand the business logic. So they need to own this part if they would like to have a product that is compliant with their needs and expectations. And the responsibility is quite clear in there, basically to provide test cases, provide technical background or information about how is the product working, and then also providing the business knowledge to be able to deliver something that they actually need and is usable for the rest of the team. And also this one could be co-owned as well. If it's a bigger organization where we have a BI analyst, maybe we want this BI analyst with let's say a BI developer, right? Because then the BI developer owns this code, how the metric was built, for example, and then the other person owns the business side of things. So I don't think it's just one person responsibility to own something, but it's multiple people making this data product reliable and with the highest amount of quality that can be used by anyone. And what is quality depends on the organization. For some people, okay, this metric could be 80% good, but if it's a financial one, you want 100%. And then you know how your responsibility goes, and there should be accountability, which is really important because you can own it by work, but if there's no accountability, things is still not moving.
I like the fact that you try to split it up in technical ownership and business ownership, but really try to place them together. It by the way, reminds me, I guess it's 2019, my first presentation on data mesh and the topic, where we had a triangle of ownership. Like you're saying, the technical owner, maybe a data engineer, the one that you call at night because your pipeline is broken. You had the business owner, the one that really kind of acts maybe like a product owner indeed. What's the next thing we need to add? Make sure and owns a data product. And I'm almost at your question, Benjamin. And then we always also said, let's make someone at C-level responsible for your domain maybe, because if two product owners or technical owners can't figure it out, then at least you have an escalation path. And that's why we made a triangle. But indeed, Amy, as you're describing, I believe you're more and more coming towards the business owner is owning that data as a product, more setting the roadmap, defining what is it used for. What's your definition of a data product?
Yeah, well, you know that this is a big confusion. And that's why I try to talk about this quite a lot in my presentations. And let's see it this way, because I think it's more practical to explain it with some example. We have product thinking in software engineering, right? And we have a product that we're going to develop, put it in the market, etc. We should use the same practices actually to bring a data product live. So when you think about a data product, think about a product that you are delivering to someone. Is a set of data that you already had discovery, right? Because you identify a need with the business, then you understand this need, you create a product candidate, you validate this, you do the implementation, testing, deployment, and release to the user. So it's a whole life cycle like a normal product. So you want, for example, a curated data set that will give you the information about the leads that you are having in your company. And what is a lead? Well, you need to work again with business to understand what is a lead for them and how to calculate it correctly. Because I've been in the case like, okay, I've seen 5 types of definitions of leads. Everybody will calculate it differently. But if you don't go as a product manager and sit with these stakeholders and make them agree in one simple definition, then it's going to continue to be a mess. So at the end, in short, Benjamin, sorry for the long explanation, but I want you to have this picture in your head, about the life cycle. Is basically a curated data set that you can actually use to generate other assets, such Excel files, CSVs, AI models, dashboards. But you need to have this connection as a product, as you do when you're doing requirements for a software engineer product, to be able to deliver this. What it has quality checks as well, what it has, continuous integration and iteration as well.
Yeah. Just trying to pick out your key messages. It's a product, so it fulfills a clear purpose. You iteratively continue on trying to improve it, making it usable by many.
Exactly. Accessible with metadata, for example, in the data catalog. So it can be chosen by someone and then deliver value out of it with a dashboard, for example.
Yeah. You're touching upon accessible and making sure that people is whose responsibility is it to sell the product? Is probably the owner, making sure that there's someone telling you what is there, what can you use, and who's then responsible to manage the access? Is that your business owner? Is that your technical owner? Is that someone else? How do you see that?
I believe that you have to make it discoverable, right? Like in the portal, that you understand what is this data product, what is actually doing. So me as a non-technical person, for example, I can come there, read the description and see if it suits me or not. And then you understand, okay, this domain or this team owns this specific product. From the technical side, okay, I'm having a problem. Maybe I'm a machine learning engineer. I want to use it. Then I will contact this person so I get access. But first of all, the fact that you have somewhere to read about the product and understand that before actually committing, to ask access for it, just for the sake of asking for access, is the most important part. But in this case, the team who developed that should be the ones providing this access control, and also to understand what the usage is going to be. Because if we put, for example, on top of that data contracts, you need to also inform them when something changes, so they understand, why my product broke at the end.
Yeah. You made the bridge to the portal, so thanks for that, Amy. For those that don't know the portal yet, portal is kind of the go-to place where you get this overview, where indeed data products are made discoverable, what's out there, so that you can see the description, and from there on, it's also a process tool, and I believe a bridge. You were describing yourself previously as a bridge between business. This is a bit the same. It's a bridge between the tools that you need, because the typical data landscape is quite broad. You've already mentioned just looking to discoverability. It's a valid cause. You need to make data discoverable. We also see it as the process tool, where you can have this access request approval workflow, and from there on you get and a lot of automation. We also see it as the bridge from portal. I want to deep dive maybe into the data in a data catalog, or directly move to report, or where the data is being developed. Bold question, Amy. Is such a tool needed, and why or why not?
I think so, but that is super needed, because that's how you bridge this knowledge, between business and technical people. Because again, if I come as a business person, I would like to understand what is in there. If this is something that already exists, or maybe I need to ask the data team to build up something for me. And having this kind of user-friendly platform where you can actually read in natural language, not something really overcomplicated, or having to speak maybe with a data engineer who's gonna speak to me like in Chinese. I will have this already to be able to see what's going on, what I need, how it's linked, what kind of data, where is it coming from. Maybe I need, I don't know, some data coming from marketing and some other from HR, and then I can see if there's already something, some metrics, for example, created there that I can reuse for something else. So I think it's super needed, and showing the lineage, for example, is super important, so you can understand how this thing tracks. And if you are just a simple business person, just having information really straightforward of what it does and how does it work makes wonder, because people will understand, okay, now I know where to go and who to ask about this product.
Yep. We had a preparation call. No, let's first reminder for the audience, by the way, because if you let me and Amy talk, then probably we will talk more than 1 hour. If you have questions, interrupt us, put them in the chat, and I'll get them in. Back to what I was going to tell Amy. We had a preparation call last week, and I was asking you a bit, what do you see the difference then between a typical data catalog? Because maybe the core functionality we are already offering is kind of data product discovery, which is not that far as from data discovery. You made, for me, the lovely quote, and that's why no, it wasn't you, someone else. I recently heard a quote. The difference probably is a data catalog is mostly a risk mitigation tool. It makes you sleep at night. As you know, everything is documented.
Yeah.
Where we're heading with portal or tools where you also add process management and try to get it, it's also about governance. It's about productivity, self-sufficiency. Is that something that you see that resonates with you, and how do you see what was missing in a data catalog? For example, why don't we just continue on building on a data catalog?
Well, I think there are many tools in the market right now, a lot of data catalogs, and some of them are working towards this kind of this kind of feature, I will say. However, sometimes these data catalogs are quite clunky and too big, and then the users actually gets quite frustrated about it, because I have heard that feedback a lot when I was implementing data catalogs with some similar features. However, the focus, I think, is different, because you here in the portal, you get like really straightforward information, but in the data catalog, you get also definition of this, definition of that. And, it's overwhelming. It's super overwhelming if they do it, because not all of them does it. And also, the maintenance could be cumbersome, because a lot of them, you have to write the stuff basically directly on the data catalog itself. And if you want to move to another vendor, you're kind of vendor locked, because you have to rewrite the whole thing that you did. So, you being able to use metadata to bring some information is also nice, or connect with the tools or the tool set that you're actually using. I don't know, Databricks or GCP or whatever. Also, it's something that not all the time is well integrated to do this lineage map of a data product, because you might have different sources, right? Not necessarily everything. If you're multi-cloud, not everything is going to be on GCP. Sometimes you will need to go and check somewhere else, or maybe an API, or I don't know, you name it.
Yeah. I think we're talking quite a lot about what's in it for a single person. It's like you get an overview, discoverability is handy, maybe this connectivity, and but it's about sharing metadata as well, as you're mentioning. A lot is probably also collaboration. Just working alone on data doesn't need any data governance tool. Everything sits in your hand. What are the key things we still need to solve to improve collaboration in data?
Talking, having like difficult discussions, I will say. It sounds simple, but it's not, right? When it's again about the bringing people and process and technology together, because then, for example, to define the owner, you need to have these conversations to understand the business logic. You need to involve also business people, so we can do our job as data people. And then I think something that is really missing right now is because maybe data people were really humble, but we need to do more PR. We need to do more PR inside the organization. Like, look, I help marketing, or I help finance with this and this and this and that. So you could just throw it there and more teams will be curious and will come to you. But I think, yeah, it goes kind of always on that way. For me, it's always about initiating conversations and finding the pain points for them, and then find a solution from our side.
Is that where the value of discoverability lies? The start of a PR?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And also start of a conversation, because usually if you are just exploring the tool, right, and you go somewhere and then you see, I'm interested, and if you have an owner there, you could already start a conversation with this person, and then it fires that automatically.
Yeah. So you're also pointing to the fact that there is value in defining an owner in your discoverability, just to make sure that you can contact him. As mentioned before, with Portal, we also try to be a process tool, so that an owner is assisted in the processes he needs to manage. What do you believe are the things that can be automated for an owner, or automated with an approval made easy? One thing, for example, is access management. My data product has a purpose, it's listed, someone thinks it's interested, he comes talk with me, he requests access. I truly believe it's really valuable that then I don't need to contact a technical team. I can just make sure it's there, and something behind the screen sets an IAM policy, grants Databricks access, whatever. I don't know as a data product owner. Are there other processes that are relevant to automate, so that an owner can really take ownership into his hands?
I mean, there is a lot of things that could be automated, right? Like quality checks, for example. That's why I told you about getting already some business logic behind, so you can already make sure, you have high quality on your data product. There are some tools that can show you, for example, for the data observability and all that, what percentage you have of quality, for example. Those are things that you can do. Also, usage of the data product. You can monitor it easily to understand what are the amount of visitors, if it's really being used or not, if we need to deprecate it, maybe if we need to go to B2, is it compliance with PII data and security and all that, right? So there is many things that we can automate right now, with a different set of tools and skills from people, and that makes that's why data ops is kind of a thing now, because they are basically doing that, trying to automate stuff, even saving money in the cloud. Easy things like that, like let's monitor which projects are being used, who is using this, and then pretty much throw away whatever is not working anymore.
Yeah, you're rightfully so mentioning there's a lot of tools that do one thing or another, and we're mentioning what Portal maybe already does for data product owners, but there's more people on there. But I want to continue in where you're stating there's already a lot of tools out there. You can have data quality, you can have access management, you can have usage, whatever lineage. You bring them all together. That's a nice overview, and I can imagine that's part of the value for a data product owner. I don't need to know 4 technologies. It's just in a single place at hand. But that's for a non-technical user. If you have been a data engineer as well, if you with a technical background get this single place from where you can continue, is that valuable? You know the tools that are at your hand. You know Airflow, you know Databricks, you know whatever. So is there still value as well for technical people to get something as a discoverability tool overview from where you can link to everything?
Actually, yes, because let's speak about from the perspective of a big organization, and there might be not only one data team but multiple, right? And I'm also a believer that at this point, for example, with the data mesh in the Streamalign domains, right, where you also would like to have an owner for a microservice, so you understand what happens. That's really important because, look, one example. We were in a very old school, a database at that time, and something broke in the sales dashboard. And we were trying to understand what happened there, but no one was really, hitting what it was. So we were debugging, and then we had the idea at some point. Okay, let's try to see what's going on with the database from the backend people that maybe could be there. Actually, they dropped a column. They didn't tell anyone, and everything was just broken. And when we figured that out, because they didn't know that I was using that. So, it's like, yeah, well, we don't need this column anymore. Let's just drop it. And this is so common to hear these kind of problems, right? But if me as a technical person know up, because also it took us forever to find out who owned that, which team was. So if I will know already who is the owner, I can, could be not necessarily one person, but could be to a team. So let's say, okay, the backend team, blah, whatever, is owning this. So me as a data engineer, I can come to them. Hey, look, I'm having some troubles here. Have you made any changes? If you don't have a data contract, I mean, you can go that way and ask that as well. Or even some business person would like to know who is doing the product in the backend, and they can kind of correlate it,
Yeah. Yeah, it's probably the same value for someone responsible for data governance. How do you see responsible for data governance? Because we're talking about pushing quite a lot of responsibilities, like federated really across the organization. Is there someone still responsible for central governance in your ideal picture?
Yes, of course, because I've been that person for so long. The thing is, you need a data platform team. I still believe a data platform team or a central team that is the one who is doing data ops. So the one, sourcing tools, sourcing, some people when they need help with the best practices, and this data governance person who is basically, they're responsible of creating these processes and doing all these talks with different teams and people, and make sure that everyone is on the same page. Because again, if we go to the example of bigger organizations and you have multiple data teams and everyone is doing everything differently, there is high chances that something is broken, that the quality is not good, or or something is completely messed up, right? So I think this responsibility for governance, you can also see, okay, look, maybe team Y has no owners. I'm going to ask around, because I know who is part of that team, why they haven't at this. Because, it sounds bad, but sometimes governance people, we have to be like the police and to be the bad guys. So this is really useful to understand also the level of engagement of certain teams in having ownership, if the ways to implement, let's say, the descriptions are all the same, if they are following certain patterns that we provide as a central data team. I think is definitely valuable for a central governance person.
Yeah, I don't know how to make the bridge to the platform engineer now, because you twice opened the door. Once you were saying, I still believe that there's a need for a central data platform team, and then you said the governance person is the police. I guess the platform team quite often as well. We want you to use our way of working, maybe not in the implementation phase, but more infrastructure oriented or tool oriented. Do you believe that the automation we foresee in Portal, where, for example, if you create a new data product, your conveyor project is pre-configured, or your Databricks runtime is provided, would it help to safeguard your company against wild growth of technologies if you make it simple enough to create something new with your standard technology? Do you believe it would prevent wild growth?
Yeah. Actually, we did it in one of my previous companies. We automated quite a lot of things, and that was basically for new teams to be onboarded, plug and play. Just like a quick call for a new team, for a new project, a new domain, maybe 30 minutes with the architect and one data engineer and me. Like, look, this is blah blah blah. Let's do this and that. We already have this playground or sandbox for machine learning, for example. You just need to basically get we will help you to set up the project, access, blah blah blah. You're ready to go. It could save quite a lot of time, actually. Like, the modern data engineering is not like, some years, even not that long ago. If you think about, even in 2020 and 2021, it was still a little bit slow to get access control. You have to go here and there, and also IT and blah. And you are super knowledgeable in this kind of access control stuff, but that's something that is easily automated, for example. Or even putting the owners in the metadata in the Snowflake, for example, or in GCP, and then bring that together to different tools. It's already a way to automating, so you don't have to flag every single tool that you are using. You just put it one place, and then you do metadata sharing or management.
Yeah, we've now focused quite a lot on what we believe is value for every individual. An owner can manage his processes, an engineer gets guided, can see who owns stuff, a governance again gets an overview, a platform engineer gets automation and then try to prevent wild growth, a lot of other things. But you were also already mentioning the biggest challenge is communication. It's about collaboration, making sure that everyone can easily collaborate together on your data projects with managed processes. You're a data strategist as well. Let's say if in a typical organization, you're a data strategist, you define a new data product. What are the steps that you need to do, and how long does it typically take?
It really depends on the organization. Everything depends, how it is, right? But I will say that's why I work a lot with these data product discovery workshops or the templates, right? Because what you would like to know first, one of my templates is, okay, let's do data product value proposition. Because people come to you all the time. You're busy as a data team. All of them has a prior one project for data, right? And you need to understand if they are do they really need this? You know what I mean? This is just, when I give it to them, I have some questions, what are the needs, the pains, the gains? Do you have something similar in the past, for example? What's the value that you're going to bring? Which are the stakeholders who are going to consume out of this? And this kind of information, and what's your estimated or preferred date? And we put a disclaimer like, this might not be the date of delivery. We just want to know when exactly you want it. What I found in that stage is a lot of stakeholders back off out of it. They are like, actually, I thought I need it, but I actually don't need it. Thank you so much. Or we find a good case that we already have a data product that partially covers what they need, so we can create easily, hook it maybe from one or two or three data products and create whatever they need. And it's easier because it's already built up. So you just have to kind of, like a jigsaw, just plug the parts and it's ready to go. So it will improve as well the efficiency and the time to market, let's say that way, for that data product.
Yeah, still I hear quite a lot of challenges, and probably even if you find some data products like the jigsaw puzzle is never easy as well. So it takes some time. I think we share the same vision. We foresee a world where all those things become more and more easy, so that you can really focus on bringing the value and bringing the insight that you need. So imagine creating a new data product. I just register somewhere a purpose. It creates my development environment. I can easily manage access. Of course, writing code will still take some time. It is creating the jigsaw puzzle. And everything's there within minutes through automation. I think that's our end goal, so that you can really focus on this value creation and probably as well on this PR, because otherwise no one is using it. Sounds great, no? If you can do this within minutes, probably also sounds too good to be true. So what are the remaining pitfalls?
Usually, because I use this data product development life cycle that I mentioned at the beginning. Usually what you find is the lack of collaboration. But what I found is when you pressure people and you need accountability partners, that's when things start to happen. And it's horrible, because we're adults, right? We should be able to do these things just naturally. So for example, with the template, right? So I have this process that there are like checklists, that you need to, in the minimum amount of things for us to start looking at your request is that you fill first at least these fields, so we can have our first discovery call together. And if they don't have it, then it's not moving from the pipeline. So they actually make sure that they do it. By the end of this template, once we have the conversation and everything, I need also already the test cases, the business ones, like, okay, I would like to see this and this and this and that, because for me, that's really important to be able to deliver a quality product at the end. And someone else need to sign off for them. So for example, I'm the one filling it out, but then you need to basically be the one who sign off for me, like, okay, you are reading, this seems correct, we are from the same team, I give a go, and now we're ready to move to the next template, which is the data product canvas, for example, which starts already kicking out the development of the process. But for me, is if no one sign off, if you are not filling out what I'm asking you for, we are not even having a conversation, and you just come with a request, sorry, but I'm not going to move, because then it's not as important as you say it, right? So and it sounds bad, because again, I'm the bad guy, I'm the police, I'm the unreasonable person, but this is how it works. It's the same for the data contract, for example. I put this process where in order to get access to the data set, you need to sign up to the GitHub repository, so you are aware when changes are happening. Maybe you won't read it, and then it will break, and you will come, hey, what happened? And I will be able to say, hey, there was already a pull request there with all the information of the changes, and you didn't say anything. So it's your fault, because you didn't read, you didn't did your job. Of course, I'm not going to say it that way, but like, oh, we already did it, and being nice. But that's a way to create this kind of accountability, because humans are animals of habits, and basically you need to build up this kind of habits little by little, until it becomes natural. Still a lot of problems with this, because then you get people who is upset with you, and a lot of political games could happen as well. So it's not sweet. It's not unicorns. It's not Hello Kitties all over the place and rainbows. It's basically painful as well. But you see that little by little that people understand that it was a need, or they understand, actually, I didn't need this data product, so I'm actually not wasting the time of them, and they see a value out of it, because they want other things created faster. Maybe they found another product more interesting or something like that.
Yep. We have 12 more minutes to go. We have 2 great questions in the chat, so that's again a gentle reminder. I'm certain Amy can fill 12 more minutes without a problem, with valuable information. But if you have some questions, please pop them in the chat. Probably a quick one, Amy. Jeroen is asking if you have some of, well, he was mentioning discovery templates, but later you went to the data product canvas as well. Something you're willing to share?
Actually, I sell them in Notion. There is the set of the 4 templates, actually. One is for data contracts. The other one is for the data product value proposition, data product canvas, and also a metrics library, where you actually also make your stakeholders to talk, to have the right calculations and the right information when you are actually developing like BI products as such.
No. And then Benjamin, I think a valid question, because we have been talking about data product owner, but who is the owner? Is that the one that's requesting something? Is that the owner of the source data? Is there a marketplace team who owns all data products? Who do you see as the owner of a data product?
The one who created is the one who owns the product. Yes, could be, but we go back again to the logic of the ownership framework, right? So the pipeline owner or the technical owner is going to be the data engineer. The data product owner will cooperate, with the business person, so it's also an owner of the product. And then the business owner is the requester, because this person is the one who knows the know-how of the business and also why they actually wanted this product.
I always believe there can be a chain of data products, one on top of the other, and I'm probably the most at the left, at least in my head. The left is close to source. It's a bit of source-aligned ownership. You offer basic building blocks, and then, as you're mentioning, there's a business person requesting features. I don't see him always as the owner. I think you were mentioning two domains. Someone from sales is owning a data product in sales, and in my view, someone from marketing can then say, I really want to use your data product, but it should have also this and this and this data from your sales department. That makes sense. And he's a bit of a requester. Does that make sense as well?
Yeah, I mean, and there will be, when you have a lot of data products that intersect between each other, that is really difficult to understand who is the owner. But in theory, if it's a mix of different data products, you already know who owns. That's why I do the metrics library, for example. So you know that product owns, I don't know, let's say product owns leads and marketing, like, I don't know, the viewers per minute. And let's say that then you have revenue, who is owned by finance, and they want to create something together, right? And then you already have, based on the metrics, owners of those metrics. So the data product belongs directly to the domain who created that, to the data product owner who put, the effort, and also the engineer who actually created the final product for them.
Something completely different again. We've been talking quite a lot about the creation of data products and the collaboration to get them going, and the business owner, technical owner, the stuff like that. We have mentioned before that for a head of data governance, just the overview of what is there is very useful as well. If that overview is there, and there's possibly a way to set certain policies. You were mentioning already identify PII data, and then maybe set a rule that no one can access PII data, or other rules, no one from country A can access data from country B. So if that's all automated, what's the role of a head of data governance moving?
To create the processes and review it, because you know that new laws, new regulations, new stuff are coming all the time, and also to be able to advise and onboard new teams that will come or need. But honestly, I haven't seen that yet, because sometimes 3 years and you just move 30% on your data governance journey. So it's for this position to be kind of obsolete, it will be a long journey from the company, and that means that everything is running smoothly, which I doubt.
I think it was Chris Peters, our CEO, was mentioning last week on LinkedIn, or this week. Have you ever seen a data governance project that really covers a bit of everything, the people, technology, processes, stuff like that? No, and as you're mentioning, it's a slow process to gain some percentages and install closer processes. So defining them, but I love the fact that you refer to and refine them, because this is not an ending story.
Exactly. That's why I see that the role is going to still relevant. It might change, if you are really mature on that topic, it might change a little bit, but always, we need to understand what it really works for that industry or for that company in terms of governance, and then, as you said, refine it, and moving forward, also there might be new processes, new frameworks. For example, look now with AI, we not only have data governance, but now there is also AI governance, which is a topic that I'm touching quite a lot now, because there's not awareness of that. But for having AI governance, you need data governance, because you need the foundations of the quality of the automation of the platform to be able to have a valuable AI product. When AI governance is more about the ethical AI, let's say, where you can also take in consideration all the regulations of it, and of course the modeling part and all that. But you need this foundation. So there's a lot of work for the data governance person, and I think this role is not evolving just data governance, but as I said, with other technologies, there is always the need to put more processes on top. But at the end, the base is again data governance. So there is a lot to do still.
Yeah. Last question from my side to wrap up. Try to summarize first your thoughts. I think if you look to typical data users, you have the data engineers, you have the data owners, both from a technical point of view as a business point of view. You have a head of data governance, you have platform engineers. There's a bit of for everyone within the portal, as it provides you an overview, and even the overview is already valuable for everyone. It allows you to link to a lot of tools. It allows you to manage certain processes, probably mostly aimed towards these business owners to really take the ownership into its rightful hands. Where to go next? It's an open source project. Of course, we will continue, but maybe others want to tap in. What do you believe is the next thing to focus in the story you were telling today?
Value. Business value proposition. I'm starting most of my workshops now on this. As I told you, let's find the value before creating a data product. And for example, will be nice if in the portal at some point you can also add a field that says what's the value or the business value out of it, summarize, so the people understand, okay, cool, this is something that it was really important for the company, and now we have access to this as well, to understand why it was created, that data product specifically, and how that goes next to the business goals.
Yeah, I think we already have the concept of a purpose. That's a bit the why. I think you're also referring to measuring then the actual value. Was to validate the initial idea of why, to make sure it's purely value, or would you go for a fully ROI analysis where you have a value cost exercise?
I mean, that will be nice, of course, but not every single data product will bring value in that way. Not necessarily ROI. It might bring value just for efficiency of the team. So, for example, if we implement something that now with all the new data product, with all these automations, with all these best practices and everything, it can reduce the time of a data analyst from, I don't know, month and a half to create a dashboard to 2 weeks, because they don't have to test that data anymore, because they know it's in good shape. And then you can put some value out of this project, let's say that way, in efficiency for the usage of the time of a person, so this person can become more productive, for example. Or with this data product, we are able to, let's say it is for the security team. So we reduce our data breaches in this amount because of this and this and that. And might not necessarily with money, but with some value for the company in different ways.
Yeah. I mostly take out it. The most crucial part of a data product is the value. And that's why the product exists, and that's why you should visualize as well the value depending what value is, not always easily measurable, but make sure to define it.
And that's the PR for, right? Like
Yeah.
once you understand and you finish that product, you can advertise that.
Perfect. On time. It remains me to really thank you, Amy. I think it was very interesting, quite broad. Sometimes, well, most often also quite in depth. So I think most certainly everyone took something out of it. One more minute. You do a lot of talks. Some advertising for your next talks, Amy.
Because we are part of the MVP community for Data Mesh, we have a roundtable, of course. This is every second Tuesday of the month. And then I have my own show, Data Chronicles, from Mesh to AI and everything in between. Next month, having a data privacy expert, and we're going to talk about data privacy in data products. And one is going to be in November in that show as well, talking about access control management. Yeah, just follow me, go to my website as well. I also provide, consultancy and advisory calls and the templates and these kind of topics. So thank you so much for having me. It was fun. This topic is, of course, really close to my heart. So always happy to speak about it.
Once more, thank you. And then for the audience, thanks as well for joining us. Probably quite interesting to know, and it allows me to put pressure on Christophe, our conceptual founder of the portal. Quite soon he will be releasing our new blog post a bit more in technical depth about the data product portal, so something to look out to. And then I hope to see you next time. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you. Bye.